We've heard stories of the Hat Man, but who or what is he? Now, this is a story that might finally solve the mystery. It dates back to 1881. This took place outside of Akron, Ohio. There was this young man named Charles. Charles said that when he was a young boy growing up on the farm with his father, he remembers there was this story. And everybody in town always talked about a man named John Sullivan. It said that John Sullivan was this inventor. And not much was known about him. He never came out of his home except for at night. And when he did, he would wear this black hat, a cloak, and cover his face. Now, it's believed he covered his face because early on in life he had sustained very severe burns. And so he would hide his face, and this is why he didn't come out during the day. Well, come to find out, several people in the town of Akron began missing, and they suspected it had something to do with John Sullivan. When they went to his house, they were in disbelief because they had found several of these bodies that had gone missing. Well, it was said that John claimed he was working for the devil and he was claiming souls. Shortly after this, he was tried, he was hung, and he was buried in an unmarked grave. But that did not stop John, because it said he still returned and people went missing. Well, he said he remembered this story, but he thought it was just sort of a legend to kind of scare the young children in town. But he said this one particular day he was working outside feeding the pigs. When he looked over into the pasture where the cows were, he sees this man. And he said the man's face was completely black and covered. He was wearing this big black hat and a cloak, and he had bright red eyes. So he turned away from him, and when he looked back, this man had now moved to the other side of the pasture. So he hurried up and ran inside and told his father and said, Father, like there's this strange man outside, and he described him. He said after that, his father said, no more chores for the day. You're staying inside. Come inside. And he made him go into the house. Well, he said that night he went to bed, and at that time he didn't really think about much what had happened earlier. Well, as he is sleeping, he awakes in the middle of the night, and he said he had this feeling of static electricity running through his body. And he just couldn't figure out like what was going on, because he just felt really bothered by something. And he said all of a sudden he turned, and standing next to his bed was that man he had seen out in the field with the hat and the cloak and the red eyes. And he said he just stood there next to his bed. And he said out of this man appeared 3 other black shadow-looking people who started to walk around his bed. He said this man then proceeded to take his hand, which was, just this dark shadowy figure, and move it towards his head. Well, right at that moment, he said his father comes in the room. Now this man is gone. The other 3 shadow people that were with him are gone. And he said, "I just had this bad feeling that I should come in here. Is everything all right?" Charles started crying and he told his father what had happened. And he said after that, his father every night would come and check on him continuously. So, was that the origin story of the Hat Man?